Archon Valorous screams across the shattered bridge of the Maelstrom-class battlecruiser as the void around him erupts into a storm of warp lightning. The vessel shudders violently under the unseen hand of something older than the stars themselves. Valorous peers into the shimmering distortion ahead, his augmetic eyes catching glimpses of a massive swirling rift, rippling with colors that should not exist. Whispers crawl across his mind, sibilant voices promising dominion, power, and knowledge that mortals were never meant to hold. The Pantheon of Chaos stirs, but something is different this time. The known four Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh vibrate in anticipation, and Valorous realizes with a dread that chokes him that the warp is shifting. There is a presence beyond their comprehension, a force coalescing, seeking form. 8 will walk the Imperium, not 4. 8 will claim the souls of the galaxies. 8 gods of chaos. The first of the newcomers manifests in visions only Valorous can see. A god of silence, a void between worlds, a being who feeds on secrets, lies, and forgotten prayers. Its name is unspoken, even in the tongue of the warp. It moves like smoke, insinuating itself into minds, twisting ambition into obsession. Imperial psychers falter, their sanity snapping like brittle metal, while demon engines in the fleet halt mid-stride, as if some unseen hand holds them in awe and terror. Valorous feels his own thoughts betray him, ideas forming that he cannot claim as his own. He senses the other 7 observing, assessing, each with a hunger as primordial as the dark between the stars. Chaos has never been this. Hungry. Meanwhile, in the Eye of Terror, Khorne's blood-soaked throne quivers as the flames around it dance unnaturally. The god of war smells change, an unfamiliar scent of corruption and entropy that does not bleed in red. Even the skull throne whispers to him of this new presence. Tzeentch, perched upon his tower of twisting flames and schemes, notices patterns unraveling in the weave of destiny itself. Prophecies that once shimmered in silver clarity now fracture, jagged and dangerous, and he delights and fears it in equal measure. Nurgle's gardens of decay shudder as unseen spores bloom unnatural patterns, and Slaanesh's symphonies of indulgence twist into discordant notes that echo across the warp like a warning. The balance shifts. Chaos is evolving. On the fringes of the galaxy, the Imperium struggles to comprehend the first effects. Entire systems vanish from star charts, their populations lost without a trace, leaving only whispers of madness in their place. Inquisitors report cults rising almost overnight, devoted not to the familiar gods, but to shapes and symbols no human can fully grasp. Battles erupt with ferocity beyond expectation, and loyalist forces feel their weapons misfire or betray them, as if the very laws of reality bend to accommodate a new cosmic hierarchy. Even the Adeptus Mechanicus, guardians of reason and machine, record engines resonating with alien harmonics that defy calculation. Something ancient has awoken, and it hungers for dominion. Valorous boards his command deck, heart pounding, knowing that the fleet may not survive the encounter. He calls out to his officers, but their faces blur, distorted by the rippling presence of the new god. Orders dissolve before they reach the mouths of his subordinates. Only instinct remains. The whispers guide him toward the rift, urging him to step beyond mortal understanding. And as he does, the first tendrils of a power unlike anything in known chaos brush against his soul. It is not anger, nor decay, nor desire, nor change, but something entirely alien. It speaks of inevitability, of conquest across realms, of an expansion that the Pantheon itself must acknowledge or fall to. In the shadows of the warp, unseen demons stir, drawn to the call of the new hierarchy. Minor entities once content to prowl battlefields or infest dreams now swarm in anticipation, reshaping their forms in homage to this emerging god. Their rituals warp into new patterns, far removed from the established rites of Khorne or Tzeentch. And yet, despite this upheaval, the 4 original gods do not strike. They watch intrigued, as if realizing that their dominion is no longer absolute. The Imperium pulses like a living organism, and Valorous senses the tremor of cosmic rivalry, waiting to ignite into war, unlike any the galaxy has yet known. Reports reach the Inquisition of nightmares spanning entire star systems, and psychers collapse under the weight of visions they cannot interpret. Ships vanish without warp signatures, and the few survivors speak of shadows moving against stars, of laughter that echoes without source. Codices are updated hastily, and the Adeptus Astartes prepare for campaigns against enemies that may not even exist yet. Fear spreads faster than any virus, and whispers of 8 grow into terror-laden prophecy. The Imperium faces a crisis not just of flesh and blood, but of existence itself. The galaxy stands at the edge of a revelation that may destroy everything it knows. On the Maelstrom-class bridge, Valorous confronts a vision of the unknown god itself, a towering figure, its features flickering like a shattered mirror, each reflection showing a different horror, none of them fully comprehensible. Its presence warps space, making reality ripple as if water. Yet in its gaze, Valorous perceives a promise: power if he yields, annihilation if he resists. The whispers now take on a rhythm, almost melodic, pulling him closer, coaxing him into the rift. The fleet quakes, alarm klaxons wailing, yet no one can act. Time bends. The rift pulses. The expansion has begun. Back in the warp, the 4 original gods stir uneasily. Khorne's warriors feel rage without cause. Tzeentch's plots unravel and twist unexpectedly. Nurgle's plagues bloom with new symptoms, and Slaanesh's indulgences curdle into fear. Even the demon primarchs, once unchallengeable lieutenants, sense a hierarchy shifting beneath them. Whispers of the 8 grow into echoes, resonating through demon souls. The Pantheon is no longer stable, the galaxy's foundations tremble, and Valorous stands at the threshold, the first mortal to witness the birth of a new cosmic order. The warp rift flares violently, consuming entire void sectors in an instant. Valorous' voice cracks as he commands retreat, but the new god does not move. It simply exists, omnipresent, watching, waiting. The Imperium may marshal fleets, the Adeptus Astartes may brandish bolters, and the Inquisition may interrogate with fearless zeal, but nothing in the material universe can halt what is coming. 8 gods will claim dominion where 4 once ruled. And in that moment, the galaxy realizes something terrifying. Chaos has evolved. Valorous collapses to his knees on the bridge, his mind screaming with visions of galaxies, bending under the will of a force he cannot comprehend. The rift's edge burns with colors no mortal is meant to see, and within those swirls, he glimpses entire civilizations kneeling before something that is neither flesh nor machine. Ships in his fleet drift like corpses, their crews muttering words of devotion they don't understand. The whispers of the new god are seductive, promising knowledge and dominion in exchange for obedience, yet Valorous feels the gnawing truth. Submission leads to obliteration. Across the galaxy, similar tremors ripple unnoticed, heralding the dawn of an age where 8 entities will vie for control, not 4. And as he lifts his head, he sees shadows moving through the stars, emissaries of the emerging Pantheon, shaping reality itself into weapons of cosmic horror. Meanwhile, in the Eye of Terror, Khorne's rage boils like a cauldron about to overflow. His bloodthirsters clash with intruding demons that bear the sigils of this unknown 8th god, their blows sparking warp storms that ripple across the Imperium. Even the most loyal followers feel the shift, a subtle unease gnawing at their instincts. Tzeentch watches with a smirk that hides a rare flicker of concern. The threads of fate he manipulates twist unexpectedly, fracturing under the pressure of a force he cannot fully control. Slaanesh twists in his endless revels, sensing pleasures denied to mortals and immortals alike, while Nurgle's rot mutates, forming patterns alien to even his diseased imagination. All 4 gods confront an unsettling truth: their supremacy is no longer assured. Valorous fleet drifts into sectors once mapped as void, encountering ships that do not follow physical laws. Some vessels dissolve into streams of energy, others reappear in different quadrants with crews raving in unknown tongues. Psychers aboard the Maelstrom class collapse in seizures, their minds burned by visions of the Eighth God's majesty. Valorous feels the whispers of the god crawl into his very thoughts, showing him impossible geometries, star systems folding into themselves, and the silent conquest of empires he has never known. He resists, clinging to the last vestiges of loyalty to the Emperor, yet he knows the galaxy teeters on the edge of irrevocable transformation. Chaos is no longer a game of 4 players. It is a cosmic symphony, and he may be its first note. Across the Imperium, Inquisitors sense patterns forming in the warp that defy centuries of study. The Ordo Malleus records demonic activity that does not correspond to any known entity, and rogue psychers report communication from voices that are simultaneously a choir and a scream. The ecclesiarchy preaches vigilance, yet priests whisper of 8 gods to each other behind closed doors. On frontier worlds, Imperial Guard units encounter cults that worship shapes twisting in impossible symmetry, chanting names that echo across psychic planes. Even the Adeptus Mechanicus struggles to recalibrate instruments, detecting anomalies in the fabric of reality itself. The galaxy is a tinderbox, ready for a conflagration that could consume all stars and dreams alike. Within the rift, Valorous glimpses the second of the emerging gods, a deity of war not unlike Khorne, yet merciless in ways that transcend rage. Armies rise and fall in seconds under its gaze, each death a note in an unending symphony of conquest. Valorous feels the pull, a tug of inevitability that threatens to consume his soul. The whispers guide him to a horrifying understanding. These new gods do not merely complement the old, they challenge them, each with domains that blur, overlap, and surpass mortal comprehension. The Pantheon is no longer a quartet. It is an octet, each voice asserting dominion, rewriting reality with every note, every thought, every heartbeat in the galaxy. On Cadia's ruins, veteran Astartes sense the shifting tide before it reaches them. Their gene-enhanced senses detect presences that should not exist, energies that warp the battlefield even before combat begins. Bolter fire twists through the air as if the laws of physics bend under alien influence. The Astartes fight with unmatched valor, yet some fall without ever touching the enemy. Warp shadows detach from the ether, striking unseen and shaping chaos in ways that no tactic can anticipate. Orders become useless as each battle folds into patterns dictated by entities beyond understanding. Mortals cling to hope, but the Immaterium now hosts players who make even the Emperor's light seem dim. In the Immaterium, Tzeentch convenes a council of his champions, seeking insight into this new threat. Even Lords of Change hesitate, unable to decipher the intent behind the new gods. The warp shivers under forces that defy classification, and for the first time, the Master of Change experiences a whisper of fear. He understands that his plots may now be mere pawns in a grander scheme, one where the very fabric of reality is reshaped by powers that laugh at destiny. Nurgle's bloated gardens stir, and even the most corrupted demons murmur uneasily as rot mutates into unknown horrors. Slaanesh trembles, senses overwhelmed, desires corrupted into terror. The Pantheon struggles to respond. The galaxy, unprepared, stands defenseless. Valorous discovers the third god, a deity of knowledge and oblivion, whose presence infects memory itself. Entire libraries of data aboard his ships rearrange themselves into paradoxes, revealing truths too terrible for mortal comprehension. Officers forget orders, histories rewrite themselves in seconds, and the crew mutters in alien tongues. Valorous sees civilizations falling before this god even appears in physical form. Its power is subtle, invisible, yet absolute. It teaches, it destroys, it manipulates, and its influence spreads faster than fleets or armies could ever travel. The galaxy becomes a chessboard, and the pieces no longer obey the rules. Meanwhile, Cults dedicated to these emerging gods bloom with alarming speed. Across hive worlds, frontier planets, and even within the Mechanicus forges, followers manifest impossible abilities. They predict events before they happen, bend reality to their will, and summon demonic entities that obey commands from beyond the stars. Even minor victories in the name of the Emperor now seem precarious, as the balance of power shifts with frightening rapidity. The Imperium scrambles, deploying fleets and Astartes chapters, yet nothing can fully halt the subtle yet relentless expansion of this nascent pantheon. The galaxy itself becomes a battlefield not of armies, but of gods. Valorous senses the fourth god, a being of entropy and decay. Its touch ages stars, collapses planets, and unravels constructs faster than technology can repair them. Fleets vanish in the blink of an eye. Worlds rot before the eyes of their inhabitants, and even demons of Nurgle bow in fearful respect. This god does not revel in suffering, it simply is, and in its presence, life and death become meaningless. The Imperium's forces, the Adeptus Mechanicus, and even the 4 original Chaos gods feel the tremor of its arrival. 8 will reign, not 4, and the galaxy's fragile structure begins to crumble under their combined will. Valorous drifts through the chaos of the rift, his mind fractured yet painfully aware. The 5th god emerges in glimpses, a being of shadow and deceit, feeding on betrayal and mistrust. Entire fleets turn on one another without provocation, captains accusing their own crews of conspiracy. Valorous' own officers whisper treason in voices that are not their own, and he struggles to maintain authority as the rift stretches reality into impossible shapes. Even the Emperor's light seems dim and distant, unable to pierce the ever-thickening veil of deception. Across the galaxy, leaders fall to paranoia, generals vanish, and alliances fracture. The new Pantheon is not merely expanding, it is rewriting the rules of loyalty, of war, of existence itself. Every system becomes a stage for its influence, every mind a battlefield for control. On the shattered world of Ras, cultists erect temples not to Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh, or Tzeentch, but to symbols that shift and warp under observation. These structures pulse with warp energy, siphoning psychic power from entire populations, feeding it into the rift. Even demons hesitate before crossing thresholds of these new domains. The warp itself mutates, creating storms that twist space-time, collapsing sectors into nightmarish labyrinths. Valorous witnesses entire regiments vanish, reappearing days later in forms unrecognizable to themselves or their allies. The galaxy quivers under the combined weight of 8 gods, and the Imperium scrambles desperately to maintain cohesion. The old rules no longer apply. In the Immaterium, Khorne roars in rage, sensing incursions into his dominion. His bloodthirsters clash with demons bearing the sigils of the 5th god, each battle sending shockwaves through the warp. Yet even he cannot strike at the source, cannot destroy what has not fully formed. Tzeentch frowns as intricate threads of fate unravel, weaving paths he cannot predict. Slaanesh grits teeth as whispers of perversion and ecstasy warp into terror and despair, while Nurgle's bloated gardens twist into new forms, teeming with alien plagues. Even the 4 original gods, long assumed eternal and unassailable, are forced to reckon with these intrusions. The Immaterium vibrates with tension, a prelude to a cosmic confrontation unseen since the Horus Heresy. Valorous fleet drifts near the 6th god, a figure of pure storm and fire. Entire star systems ignite under its gaze, their suns boiling into novas as if at the whim of an unseen hand. It is a god of war on a scale that dwarfs Khorne himself, yet it commands strategy rather than blind fury. Armadas annihilate one another without warning, while planets collapse from orbital bombardment that seems to obey impossible geometries. Valorous' mind reels as he realizes the scope. This god is building an empire before the galaxy even recognizes it exists. The Pantheon is no longer a set of 4 forces, it is 8, each asserting dominion, each rewriting the cosmos in its own image. On the Imperial front, Inquisitors and Astartes begin to record patterns in psychic disturbances. Entire fleets vanish in seconds. Cult uprisings manifest across multiple sectors simultaneously, and the Adeptus Mechanicus struggles to maintain communications as machines behave unpredictably. Reports come of systems suffering multiple simultaneous catastrophes: plague, warp storms, betrayal, and destruction converging in perfect orchestration. Analysts whisper of the Eight, a term that spreads in terror faster than the events themselves. For the first time, the Imperium feels its centuries-long dominion, threatened not by rebellion or Xenos, but by gods beyond comprehension. The galaxy stands on the edge of a precipice. In the rift, Valorous glimpses the seventh god, a deity of motion, change, and unpredictability. Entire fleets warp in and out of existence, their weapons firing at trajectories that defy causality. Time itself seems fractured in its presence, with seconds looping back upon themselves or stretching into eternity. Valorous witnesses soldiers fighting battles they already lost or haven't yet begun. Even psychers struggle to anchor themselves, visions of victory and defeat overlapping until sanity frays. The Pantheon's balance is now a delicate web, with 8 forces tugging at reality in ways mortals and even the original gods cannot reconcile. Meanwhile, the first whispers of cultist devotion reach the Adeptus Mechanicus. New forms of worship erupt, blending sorcery and machine in ways forbidden by the Messiah. Devices self-assemble into horrific constructs, serving no master but the unseen gods. Even planetary shields falter, warp storms breaking containment fields as if the new deities are testing the limits of mortal defenses. Valorous watches, realizing the expansion is methodical, intelligent, and unstoppable. 8 gods are not just a threat, they are a reordering of the galaxy, rewriting every law, every strategy, every expectation. The Imperium may resist, but the rules have changed forever. Tzeentch convenes his agents to investigate the seventh god, only to find that his sorcerers cannot perceive its logic. Prophecies fracture mid-recital, futures dissolve into paradoxes, and even demonic lords hesitate, sensing the impossibility of fully understanding this entity. Khorne's armies, driven by instinct, clash with invisible opponents who strike not with fury, but with inevitability. Nurgle's plagues adapt to avoid death, and Slaanesh feels pleasures corrupted into instruments of dread. The galaxy is a cauldron of chaos unlike any seen in millennia, and the Imperium itself trembles at the audacity of these new powers. Valorous finally perceives the 8th god, a being of pure dominion, commanding loyalty without threat, conquest without violence, bending entire civilizations to obedience with thought alone. Entire star systems kneel, their populations reformed into avatars of its will. The whispers reach a crescendo, and Valorous feels his own loyalty challenged, his soul offered as tribute. The eightfold pantheon is complete, each deity asserting a domain, yet all moving toward an unknown convergence. The galaxy will no longer survive as it has. Even the Emperor's vision is at risk of collapse. Reality itself bends to accommodate 8 rulers, each a storm of power beyond comprehension. As Valorous' fleet drifts closer to the rift's eye, he sees entire sectors consumed by warp fire and psychic resonance. Fleets disintegrate in patterns that seem almost deliberate, while worlds collapse in geometries that defy understanding. Mortals fleeing from the rift do not survive. Their ships and minds are reshaped into instruments of the new gods. The Pantheon is no longer theoretical, it is manifesting, and its expansion is unstoppable. Across the galaxy, forces loyal to the Emperor prepare, unaware that conventional warfare may no longer apply. The age of 4 gods is over. 8 now claim dominion. Valorous stands on the bridge of his command ship, the rift looming like a wound in the fabric of reality. He feels the 8th god's presence as a gravitational pull on his mind, a weight impossible to resist. Around him, the fleet drifts in eerie silence, crew members frozen mid-motion, eyes wide as they glimpse visions that should not exist. Entire sectors flicker in and out of existence outside the viewport. The 8 gods watch, each asserting dominion, each shaping events to their will. And Valorous knows the galaxy is about to be rewritten. This is not mere chaos. This is evolution. 8 forces, each godlike, moving in concert and conflict, creating a new order that mortals can neither predict nor survive. The first god, of secrets and silence, sends whispers through the warp that permeate Imperial command centers. Plans unravel before they are conceived. Fleets miscoordinate, allies betray each other without provocation, and psychers collapse under the weight of truths they cannot comprehend. Entire armies become pawns in a game orchestrated by a god whose motives are unknowable. Khorne's followers find themselves fighting invisible enemies. Nurgle's diseases evolve into something alien. Slaanesh's pleasures curdle into terror. Tzeentch's schemes twist unpredictably. Even the demon Primarch sense a shift in hierarchy. Mortals are powerless against this subtle yet omnipotent influence. On the worlds bordering the Eye of Terror, Imperial Guard regiments face horrors beyond imagination. Cities vanish as if erased, armies march into spatial folds that should not exist, and the land itself twists into impossible geometries. Entire fleets vanish into the rift, only to reappear days later with crews speaking in unrecognizable tongues. Valorous watches helplessly as planets succumb, their populations reshaped into servitors or avatars of the new gods. The Imperium mobilizes, yet conventional strategies fail catastrophically. 8 gods dominate every battlefield before a single shot is fired. Every victory now carries the weight of a cosmic gamble. The second god, a deity of war and strategy, orchestrates battles across the galaxy with surgical precision. Armadas annihilate one another without touching. Entire Astartes chapters vanish mid-engagement, and no tactical genius can predict the outcome. Valorous sees his own fleet manipulated like chess pieces, each ship's movement a note in an intricate symphony of destruction. Even Khorne feels irritation at being bested in battle by an unseen hand, while Tzeentch's manipulations unravel into chaos. Slaanesh's whispers cannot tempt mortals in the presence of this god, and Nurgle's plagues become strangely efficient, targeting only those who resist. The 8th god's expansion accelerates, unstoppable and precise. Valorous psychic senses reel as the 3rd god, of knowledge and oblivion, infiltrates minds and memories across thousands of worlds. Entire civilizations forget their histories, leaders vanish from collective memory, and information itself becomes a weapon of destruction. Archives dissolve, scholars go mad, and psychers lose control of their powers. The Imperium struggles to maintain order, as the very concept of knowledge becomes fluid and unreliable. Valorous realizes that the galaxy is now a landscape where truth is subjective, manipulated by a god whose dominion surpasses mortal comprehension. Reality itself is an illusion, and only the Pantheon controls its threads. The 4th god, embodiment of entropy and decay, accelerates the destruction of physical worlds. Star systems collapse, planets rot within days, and the forces of Nurgle watch in awe as diseases mutate beyond even their expectations. Fleets crumble under invisible forces, and supply chains, communication networks, and orbital defenses are undone in hours. Even ancient demon engines fail, corrupted beyond repair. Valorous witnesses entire systems being erased, their remnants absorbed into the rift, feeding the expansion of the Pantheon. Chaos spreads not just through war, but through the very laws of physics, reshaping matter and life according to divine will. The 5th god, of betrayal and shadow, manipulates the ambitions of mortals and immortals alike. Officers turn on one another mid-battle, alliances collapse, and entire regiments implode from paranoia. Valorous feels his own fleet teeter on the brink of internal collapse, as trusted officers question orders and mutiny spreads like wildfire. Khorne's warriors clash with allies who suddenly resist. Tzeentch's plots twist into self-defeating loops. Slaanesh's indulgences breed terror instead of pleasure, and Nurgle's minions hesitate in fear. The subtle influence of this god spreads faster than any army, undermining the Imperium from within. The sixth god, Storm and Fire Incarnate, sets entire sectors ablaze. Supernova-like explosions consume stars, fleets are annihilated mid-orbit, and planetary defenses prove useless against omnipotent wrath. Valorous fleet is forced to navigate space itself, bending unpredictably, as gravitational anomalies and warp storms tear apart his formations. Khorne's bloodthirsters clash with fireborne entities that shrug off blows. Tzeentch's sorcerers fail to calculate outcomes. Nurgle's plagues burn out prematurely, and Slaanesh feels ecstasy corrupted into despair. The sixth god's expansion demonstrates raw destructive power, reshaping entire galaxies with ease. The seventh god, of motion and unpredictability, fractures time and space itself. Fleets appear and disappear. Entire campaigns loop in paradoxical sequences, and causality collapses around Valorous fleet. Soldiers fight battles they've already lost or never started. Psykers experience visions of futures and pasts simultaneously, unable to discern reality from illusion. Even the four original gods struggle to comprehend the patterns, as the universe itself becomes a playground of unpredictability. Mortals, caught in these temporal distortions, have no chance of survival without divine intervention. The eighth god, of dominion and control, bends entire civilizations to its will without firing a single shot. Populations kneel, fleets obey unseen commands, and entire systems convert to avatars of obedience. Valorous fleet becomes insignificant as the god's influence spreads faster than light, faster than fleets, faster than thought. Even the combined might of the four original gods cannot contest its subtle, inexorable expansion. The Pantheon's evolution is complete, and the galaxy stands at the edge of submission, a canvas for 8 rulers whose designs extend beyond mortal comprehension. Valorous stares into the rift, heart hammering, as the 8 gods fully manifest their dominion. Each deity radiates an aura of unfathomable power, reshaping the immaterium around them. The whispers and visions converge into a symphony of inevitability, forcing the fleet to its knees. Mortals everywhere feel the weight of impossibility pressing down. The Emperor's light flickers against the tide, but even it cannot pierce the overwhelming presence. Valorous realizes with chilling clarity, the galaxy's age of 4 gods is gone. The Pantheon has expanded. 8 forces, each unstoppable, each asserting dominion, now move to reshape all existence. The rift pulses, and the universe seems to hold its breath. Across the galaxy, Imperial commanders scramble. Fleets fire blindly into voids that twist under the influence of the new gods. Astartes chapters fight battles that begin and end in paradoxes, their bolters striking shadows that vanish before impact. Entire planets erupt in chaos as minor warp entities, drawn by the 8th gods, wreak havoc. Inquisitors record horrors beyond comprehension. Psykers whose minds have become instruments of the Pantheon, cults spreading faster than armies, and civilian populations succumbing to devotion or madness. The Imperium is not merely challenged. It is being rewritten as a stage for the eightfold chaos. The first god, of silence and secrets, deepens its dominion. Mortals forget allies, betray friends unknowingly, and record false histories. Star systems vanish from memory, even as they exist physically, leaving navigators adrift and fleets lost. Valorous' own thoughts betray him. Whispers promise power, and he feels the dangerous allure of surrender. Khorne's warriors clash endlessly with invisible foes. Tzeentch's manipulations falter under paradox. Slaanesh's pleasures twist into terror, and Nurgle's plagues gain unpredictable lethality. The galaxy becomes an arena of manipulation, deceit, and fear, and even the bravest hearts falter under the weight of unseen influence. The second god, of war and strategy, orchestrates destruction with surgical precision. Armadas annihilate each other before battle formations can stabilize. Astartes strike at phantom enemies while allies vanish mid-combat. Entire campaigns collapse, and Valorous watches helplessly as fleets of the Imperium unravel in perfect choreography designed by an intelligence beyond comprehension. Khorne growls in frustration. Tzeentch recalibrates endlessly. Slaanesh finds no pleasure in this symphony of ruin, and Nurgle's minions hesitate in fear. War has evolved into an instrument of godlike control. The third god of knowledge and oblivion infiltrates minds on a galactic scale. Memories erase and rewrite themselves. History fractures, and civilizations collapse under the weight of truth too immense to bear. Valorous sees fleets mutating into servants of unknowable gods, scholars committing atrocities they cannot remember, and psychers whose visions are corrupted into instruments of divine manipulation. Even the Adeptus Mechanicus falters as logic and reason unravel. Information itself becomes a weapon, and the galaxy is drowning in a flood of impossible knowledge. The fourth god, Entropy Incarnate, accelerates the decay of worlds and stars. Entire systems collapse, dying suns vaporize planets, and fleets disintegrate before they engage. Nurgle watches, fascinated, as diseases evolve into perfection, while Khorne's rage cannot touch the force of this primal annihilation. Slaanesh shudders as pleasure turns to void, and Tzeentch's schemes fail to predict the unstoppable entropy. The galaxy itself becomes unstable, the material universe bending under the combined will of 8 gods. Reality is no longer a constant, it is a tool, a weapon, a canvas for divine expansion. The fifth god, Shadow and Betrayal Incarnate, fractures loyalties across the Imperium. Officers turn on each other mid-battle, generals vanish, and entire regiments implode. Valorous sees his own officers questioning orders, mutiny spreading like wildfire. Mortals are powerless against the subtle, insidious influence of this deity, and even demon primarchs hesitate in fear. The Imperium's structure begins to unravel, and loyalty itself becomes a fragile illusion. The expansion of the Pantheon is not only physical but psychological, rewriting the rules of trust, strategy, and survival. The sixth god, Fire and Storm Incarnate, lays waste to entire star systems. Supernova-like explosions consume entire solar systems, fleets burn without cause, and planetary defenses fail catastrophically. Valorous fleet navigates a void that bends unpredictably, gravity and physics reshape to the god's whim. Khorne's forces clash with fireborn entities that shrug off blows. Tzeentch's sorcerers fail to calculate outcomes. Slaanesh's seductions dissolve into despair. Nurgle's minions falter. This god's expansion is pure destructive force, an unstoppable storm shaping the galaxy according to its vision. The seventh god, of motion and unpredictability, fractures time itself. Battles loop, fleets vanish into paradoxes and causality collapses. Soldiers fight battles they have already lost or never begun. Even the original 4 gods struggle to comprehend these distortions. Valorous watches as the universe becomes a theater of unpredictability, an arena where conventional warfare is meaningless. Mortals are trapped in loops of chaos, unable to act, predict, or survive without divine intervention. The 8th god, of dominion and control, imposes obedience across civilizations without lifting a weapon. Populations kneel. Fleets obey unseen commands. Planets restructure themselves into instruments of will. Valorous realizes the terrifying truth. 8 gods now dominate, each asserting their domain, shaping the galaxy in a new order that mortals and even the Emperor cannot resist. The Pantheon has expanded, and the galaxy is no longer theirs. The age of 4 gods ends. 8 now reign. Valorous collapses to his knees, the weight of the Pantheon pressing down. Across the galaxy, fleets shatter, armies mutiny, and worlds fall in eerie silence. The Imperium quakes as 8 divine forces assert dominance, rewriting reality, war, and mortality itself. Chaos is no longer predictable, it is absolute. And as the rift pulses, a chilling certainty grips the Imperium. The universe will never be the same. 8 gods move across the stars, and their expansion has only just begun.